guys, welcome to another workout with PTA Global. It is my great pleasure to have my brother, Rodney Corn. Go ahead, champ. 3DC and I were just discussing how let's look at the body now. Let's get some of the movements we've performed over the years with traditional movements and let's blend them. Let's actually start to drive them into some maybe more progressive movements, Roddy.
Yeah.
So let's start with a nice easy one. Let's start to warm the shoulders and the trunk up. So we're just going to take some, I've got some 2.5s, Rod's got some...
I got 50s.
50s. And all I want to do is I want to start to reach across the body. And as you reach across, pretend the hands are stuck to the scap. In other words, pretend the hands are part of the scap. And when you reach, you'll feel that scap really want to go through a nice extension. And when you extend, you're going to notice that the same side hip wants to rotate around. Perfect. There, very nice there, Rod. Okay, now, if we can reach across the body, let's rotate back. And at the same time, we're going to reach back in rotation in a posterior manner. Once again, let the hip rotate around, so all you're doing is you're bringing the weights back into the chest and you're reaching out. You're not doing a reverse fly, it's just a reach. But you're allowing your hips to get involved now, which of course will affect the ankle complex. Fantastic. Let's go to lateral. All we're going to do is just drive the weights out to the side. At the same time, by reaching out, I just want you to introduce now the hip to the same side. And what you'll notice is you'll start to get some nice loading or lengthening in through that lateral fascial line, in through the hip, in through the trunk, in through the scaps, also in through the ankle. So if we can go out lateral to the side, we should be able to also go across and over the head. Now once again guys, when you're doing this, I want you to slow it down because once you start to go over or cross over the midline of the body, you're going to start to notice it's quite a big stretch or lengthening in through the trunk. So remember, just doing this with a nice rhythm, not stressing the body, just working within the threshold of the body.
Now Odie and I are using weights, so many of you who haven't done this before, we strongly suggest that you do it with body weight, with no weights. Just use your hands, get used to the motion, get used to the rhythm and timing. What we're doing is a mobilizer. So mobilizers, Ian, as we know, are very subtle, slow, rhythmical motion. Okay? Great point.
Great point. Alright, now let's do, we're going to anterior. We're going to drive the hips and knees forward. And as we drive the hips and knees forward, guys, all we're going to do is we're going to drive the hips and knees forward and reach straight up. So once again, we're not trying to arch the lower back. We're just allowing the hips and knees to drive forward, which creates a nice lengthening in through the anterior or the superficial front line of the fascial lines, creating a better upregulation. As that starts to feel comfortable, if you want, you can start to reach back a little bit in a posterior fashion. Once again, you'll feel a bigger stretch or upregulation into the abdominal cage. Once again, as Rod said, just keep it nice and rhythmical, nice and slow. Great work. All right, buddy, I reckon it's time to play. Mobilize it done. So all we're going to do is let's start off with a traditional standing shoulder press. And what we'll do is we'll work that traditional shoulder press into a more progressive or functional movement. So guys, all we're going to do is we're going to start off with the weights at shoulder height and we're just going to push vertical. We're going to do about 3 to 4 either side, so push vertical. So no movement through the body, just a very isolated movement. Now what I want you to do is as you start to push, I just want the hips to go from side to side, nice and easily. Not forcing, letting the rhythm, letting the reach of the weight actually allow the hips to slide from side to side. Now what we might do is we might start to push the weights a little more lateral. So if we were pushing to 12 o'clock initially, now we might start pushing towards 11 o'clock. Still letting the hips go side to side. Now we're going to start to bring in a little bit of rotational plane and we're just going to rotate slightly. Not a big rotation, but once again letting the hips slide. The trunk will rotate with the hip and now pushing in a nice posterior rotational shoulder press. You'll feel the abdominals, you'll feel the hips, you'll feel the shoulders all starting to fatigue.
Yep.
Great work, especially when you've got bigger weights than I have there.
When you're using the 90s.
Alrighty, let's now take the weights, put them aside just for tickle. Right, keep one weight just close handy because we'll bring that into our functional crawl. We're just going to go into a functional crawl. We're going to go into a push-up position. A very traditional manner, very, very good exercise, but we might tweak it to bring the shoulders in more. Okay.
Good.
Push-up position. And all we're going to do is we're just going to go through a nice range of motion to where you feel comfortable. Now what we might do now, 3 or 4 of these, and we might just start to shift the hand position. So in this hips involved now, which is very different to what a traditional chest press. Now, as we come back into a traditional chest press position,
yeah, it's easy for you to say.
let's bring this weight in now, and I'm going to do a push-up with the weight. Push up, come into a row position, and just rotate, and drop the weight down. Push up, into a row position, and weight down. Push up. So the great thing about this, guys, is what makes this non-traditional now is your weight finishes in a different position each time. Okay, now as we row, let's rotate and press to the ceiling. Beautiful work. And you know what? I'm not even going to ask the body to try and stay in a nice plank position. I want it, when I rotate, to let the hip drop towards the floor, because now that's going to give a much better upregulation through the trunk, which is going to help my stabilisation through my scap. It's not moving.
And one of the keys with this is you'll see people do a lot of these exercises and they're trying to stay as still as possible. That is one way to do it. The reason we let the hips get involved, the reason we let the bending occur, is because we're taking advantage of the whole line, the whole myofascial line, to load the whole line, to access and place stress through the whole component.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's do this now, right? Let's take it and let's combine those two exercises. And we only need one weight. Let's go back into a standing position, and we're just going to go one movement in each direction. So it'll be a right arm, single arm start. So we're just going to do shoulder press, come down, change hands, shoulder press, come down, change hands, hip in, change down, hip in, change hands, hip and rotate. Nice work, change down, hips and rotate. Good. Into a functional crawl position. Push up, row and just rotate. Push up, row and rotate. Push up, row, rotate and press. That's the way. Push up, rotate, row and press. And back into a standing position. Guys, that's a really, really simple routine. Gives you a great workout. If you want your clients to have great butts, great abdominals, great shoulders, go and do it.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Another thing you can do if you want to put in a little bit of leg stuff into it and actually continue on with that is the exact same thing we did, but after we come back from push-up, row, press, we can go into a squat and back down.
Nice.
Or depending on who you are, a little jump, back down, change, row, press, squat or jump, up and down. And you just throw some leg in. But what you'll find is an awesome total body workout.
Well done, buddy. Great
That's
job.
what I'm talking about.
Thanks, guys.